So what do you think is the most exciting piece of technology out there right now that could be utilised by marketers?
By marketers, so the most exciting piece of technology, I think, funnily enough, is data management platforms. And it's a bit of a geeky answer in a way. A lot of people are talking about it, don't quite know how to use it. But the interesting thing I find is that what you're trying to utilize a data management platform for. So we've got a lot of clients coming to us and saying, oh, I've heard this latest thing and I need to have it. But for us, really, it's around connecting different data sources together and seeing what additional insight we can build. In media, we've always been great at kind of doing that at the tail end. So saying, let's leverage programmatic in order to buy really targeted audiences, whether that is weather dependent, location specific, whether on a mobile device, which mobile device they're on. But actually, if you can bring a lot of that insight forward and say, oh, I want to also say somebody who's been to my site, that's already part of my email program, that's got a certain level of product from my organization, and then I can target them in the specific way that media agencies would normally do that. It gets really interesting. And so you actually start to exclude certain audiences that potentially aren't so relevant, that you've got experience in, that actually they don't respond really well to you, or they already have a competitive product. So that's the exciting piece of kit that we get a lot of questions on.
So we recently saw the launch of the Apple Watch, and there are other smartwatches that are also available.
Yeah.
And Internet of Things products are also still a hot area. Is there an opportunity there for advertisers? Will Starcom be delivering messages onto our wrists or our light bulbs?
It's a very good question. Will we deliver advertising to wrists? I don't think we're quite at that stage yet. I think there's a lot of hype and excitement in the industry around wearables, Internet of Things, how it's exactly going to play out. I don't think and nobody's really cracked it yet. I think the excitement is there from a business perspective. So what we've seen a lot is watchmakers starting to get involved, fashion designers getting involved. Even at CES earlier this year, I saw a bed made out of sensors. And it claimed that your child will sleep, will have a much better chance in future because you can control the sleep and make sure that they have the best possible sleep. I think people are using it a little bit widely. Will we deliver advertising? Yes, probably, but not in the way that we currently are used to it. Will we use it more as a way of saying, oh, I know that you're here, and would you like to see a message on a display, potentially in store, that's around you, on the shelf, a bit further away? I think that's probably more of the type of advertising that potentially would play in. I think there'll be much, much more done out of the data. So what do we learn about the different sensors? What can we read from the information that will be made available to the screen, basically, rather than saying, I'm going to try and fit a display ad onto a watch. It's exciting, I think, and it's very niche at this stage, and nobody's really cracked exactly how we're going to leverage Internet of Things, what the killer mainstream application is. But I think there's a lot of promise in that area.
Sorry, so there are a lot of new technological opportunities that an agency nowadays has to be live to and to test and to leverage. What does that mean for the changing nature of the agency? How do agencies need to adapt?
So it makes it really interesting, right? So somebody like me heading up digital, it's used to be just one thing, and now it's like 25 different things. So you're constantly wearing different hats, and you go from a client workshop where you're trying to help a client really understand how digital can help transform their business and deliver towards their business objectives, all the way to thinking about, okay, which data sources do we use, or which additional tools should we be buying into the agency in order to learn whether how we craft a content strategy for a brand so that that brand doesn't shout out into the market but actually pull people in. So it makes it quite interesting and really varied. It adds obviously quite a lot of pressure to the different individuals and puts pressure on the structure. But the digital space is so interesting nowadays and so fragmented that actually if you think about it positively, it makes it really interesting.
So what do you think is the skill set or the capability that is the missing part of an agency's puzzle right now, that in 5 years' time you'd like to think, yep, we got it, we solved that?
The missing part in an agency, I think it's a good question. The way I'm going to answer it is slightly different. So we obviously everything in digital and generally in media is becoming a lot more digital. Consumers are spending a lot more time. So that requires us to be a lot more data literate. But it also requires us to, I think there's a certain amount of success that you can have with data and with insight that you create out of that data. But I think it's also around hiring a lot more creative skill set. So how are we going to tell stories? Is it about storytelling, or is it about story building? Is it about the moment right now when I'm going to show you an ad? Or is it going to be about how I'm going to develop a long-term relationship? So it's pushing brands into thinking, actually, am I going to have a one-night stand with that consumer, or am I going to have, am I on a date for a long-term relationship? And so the type of skill set required is a little bit more multifaceted, which is more of a combination of resource that we need to bring to the party for any particular client. It's the right technical, numeracy, creative storytelling, audience understanding, but also being able to put that in a really simple communication back to the client, because they're kind of looking to us to say, listen, actually, I don't care about media KPIs that much anymore. I care about how you're going to help me solve my business challenge. And my business challenge is sales, brand desirability, whatever it is. So help me find the problem and help me find the angle that I can solve the problem with. And so it's really on us to find the right skill set internally and out there in the market in order to bring the right capabilities to the fore and make them work for the client.